Welcome back. This tutorial you'll be learning about understanding the GarageBand interface. The first thing you want to do is go to the GarageBand icon and open it. Mine is at the bottom of the screen. When GarageBand opens, you'll be greeted with this opening screen, and I'm opening up the screen so you can see it much better. On the left, you'll see New Project, Learn to Play, Lesson Store, Magic GarageBand, iPhone Ringtone, and Recent Projects. What you'll select is New Project. Click it once, not twice, just once. And the reason I say I click it once, not twice, because if you click it twice, it will automatically select whatever was selected last, which might be piano or electric guitar or loops, and then open up a project asking you to name it. So you don't want to do it but once. Once you click it once, you'll be given these options, which will allow you to pick any one of these instruments, including songwriting, podcast, and movie. Do not select voice, which is the microphone, which you might be tempted to select at first. That's really for individuals who are just singing. What you want to do is select podcast and select it twice. Double click. Then you will be given the option to save your project, and all GarageBand projects end with the suffix .band. And I say .band for suffix, meaning the end of every project will have .band on the end, and you have to select whatever you want to name it. Today we're going to name this one Test Project 2.band, and I'm putting it on my desktop in a folder named E. Dillard. And I would suggest you do similar something. Create a folder for yourself, so then it can be all your projects can be saved into one folder, and then drag that folder onto a zip drive so that you can save it in your purse or your pocket or your wherever in your drawer, so that no one will erase all your work by accident. You don't have to worry about tempo, you don't have to worry about beats per minute, you don't have to worry about the key, because this is all spoken word, and so you hit the button Create. Now you're ready to rock. Now the interface is going to look like this. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks. All 4 tracks can have audio elements, sound elements, or even artwork and as well as links. The reason why you will not be using this first track, podcast track, is because we're not creating official iTunes podcasts which allow you to put artwork, allow you to put links to the internet as well as markers. What we're going to be creating are simple news productions which will be saved as .mp3s. On the other tracks, male voice, female voice, and jingles, you can put pretty much any element, any audio element that you'd like. This button right here is called mute or unmute, and I will have to show you how that works by putting some audio elements actually on the track, and I'll do that right now. We'll drag this over, go into my folder. I already have some sound saved. I'm going to drag GarageBand Feature Story VO, that's my voice, onto the female track. And I'm going to drag it over, move it closer to the beginning. This track, I'm going to put sound of an interview I did with a person by the name of Matt. And I'm going to drag his sound over and drop it in the male track. And then I'm going to move that over as well. If you want to mute the track, so you do not hear this track, but rather the other track that's underneath it, then you can select mute, and you will only hear the track that is underneath it that's highlighted. If I play it, you will be able to hear it.
New Jersey All People Equal is an organization that helps children and adults with special needs.
Now the next button, now when I unmute it, you'll be able to hear both tracks when they play at the very same time.
New Jersey All People Equal is an organization that helps children and adults with special needs.
As you can see, it sounds a little bit like a mess. You don't want to do that and have both tracks playing, so that's why there are those buttons, mute and unmute. You can also solo a track, and solo means basically the opposite. You will highlight or be able to listen to the track that you're on, and all the other tracks underneath it will be grayed out.
Years ago, and it's, if you think about the concept of miniature golf with
So now we'll move on to the next button. This button allows you to create something called ducking, or it's basically a term that is used when one sound element is lowered in favor of another sound element. And with the podcast tracks, as you see, this arrow is highlighted, the up arrow. That means that this is a primary track. That arrow, as you can see, an up arrow, is considered a primary track. This arrow, the down arrow, is selected. That means if I put any music on this track, it will duck under or get softer when the other tracks are played. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to mute this track, which is my voice. Actually, I'm going to go into loops. This button is the loops button. I'll go back over this again. I'm going to just drag jingles in. This allows you to find any sound element that you can add to your project. And I'm just going to find something pretty simple. How about that? That's nice and soft. I'm going to put that here. Now, as you can see in Matt's interview, there's a little bit of silence before it, and then he starts speaking. So you'll hear the music up full, and then when Matt begins to speak, you'll hear it duck under. I'll let you listen.
Years ago, and it's, if you think about the concept of miniature golf, where there's 18 different unique holes.
Not too sure if you could hear that very well because I had to use the speakers on my computer to allow you to hear that. But basically, it is an automatic feature which allows the computer to take over and duck the sound under your main audio tracks. I personally don't use ducking. I set the levels how I want to set them, and that's with some editing magic, which we'll talk about in another tutorial. So you can keep ducking on if you'd like, or you can easily just select it, turn it right off. Same thing with this. If you don't want anything primary and anything secondary, you can all control the levels on your own, and that is through editing. So now I'm going to unmute this track so all the tracks are highlighted and talk about this next button. This next button is the panning control. And the panning control allows you to deal with the sound in each ear of your headphones. You can move it to the left or to the right, or have it right straight down the middle. And I would suggest you keep it at the default middle position because you don't need to worry about panning in your projects. This next button allows you to set the track volume. You can raise it or you can lower it. And if you want to see exactly how much you're raising it or how much you're lowering it, you go to the next button. This allows you to view and hide the levels of your audio. Click onto it, and now you see that this track, which is Matt's interview, it is at 0 dB. That's usually where you want to start your audio to see how high or how low it sounds, or if it's overmodulated, or when I say overmodulated, meaning hitting into the red too much. If it is hitting into the red too much, then you should lower your level. And you can easily do that by moving this down. As you can see, it's now negative 19.0 dB, or moving it up, and I can move it up to 4.3 dB. Let's push it all the way to the top. That's 6.0 dB. That's usually the highest you can push it. And usually you don't want to press it too high because it can get overmodulated, and what that means is that your audio will be distorted. I'm going to press it back down to 0 again. Oops, 0 dB. Now it's back at the default position. If you want to hide that track, you can easily do this and click on it, and it's gone. Next buttons you want to learn about is this button over here. This button, it allows you to show this audio region or hide this audio region. Right now you're looking at the jingles If I go here, you can see the female voice VO. That's my VO. And if I click onto this, you can see Matt's interview, and that's that audio element. Each one of these regions are made bigger so that you can easily edit them. This line here with the little arrow allows you to stretch out those audio levels, as you can see. It makes them even more stretched out so you can easily see exactly what you're editing. And you can stretch them out even to the point of almost seeing extremely close waveforms so that you can get really in there closely and cut out even a simple little tick or tap or small hiccup or breath. So it's that intricate that you can get really, really close and do some really nice editing. If you want to hide these waveforms, you just simply click on the scissors and it hides. And if you want to see it again, you click on the scissors and it shows. More than likely, you're going to have it showing most of the time because you're going to want to see where your waveforms are in order to do really close editing and make sure that it sounds right. Over here on your right hand side, first option you want to look at, let's take a peek at this really well. This is called the loop browser. If you click onto this icon, you can either hide them or show them. Hide them or show them. Now this allows you to see all the loops in the iTunes library, and it has sound effects, it has music, as you saw the music that I just drug in. It has, again, sound effects, booms, animals, ambience, transportation, all kinds of things. The library is pretty extensive, so you can do a lot with it. If you'd like to see track information, you can go to the eye icon, which will allow you to look at different presets that you can apply to each of your tracks. For the male voice, if you noticed, it was a little echoey. I'm going to try and let you listen to it again so you can see what I'm talking about.
Years ago, and it's, if you think about the concept of miniature golf, where there's 18 different unique holes, this is for basketball and for tennis.
Not sure if you're able to hear as well as I can, but it is very echoey. Now, in order to get rid of that echo, I can simply go through vocals or podcasting, and I would actually put podcasting, and look up male narrator. If you apply male narrator, as I just did to this track, and all I did was I selected it, and then I selected male narrator. Now that preset is now put on the audio that I recorded, and I'll let you listen to it now.
Years ago, and it's, if you think about the concept of miniature golf, where there's 18 different unique holes, this is for basketball and for tennis.
Now, I don't know whether you noticed it or not, but you could not hear it as echoey as it was before, and that was just by simply putting a preset that the computer has on my sound that I recorded. So let's go to our next button below, and that is Media Browser. This allows you to look at any audio that you have saved in iTunes. That could be any music that you've created or saved from a CD. This is photos. This is any photos in the photo library that you perhaps drag into iPhoto and want to put it in your project. For this podcast, we are not using photos, but it is an option if you want to do something down the road. Now that you've learned all that you need to know about the interface, we're going to move on to our next tutorial where we'll talk about tracks and how to do some things, some special things with tracks.